to you right now from the bedroom that I've been staying at my friend's house in upstate New York because I'm hiding from my children, all the children in the house who have been eating nothing, who have been wanting nothing but to be fed since they got out of bed. They had breakfast, and then they had second breakfast, and then they had first snack, and then they had second snack, and then now they're eating lunch. And I was just like tapped out from the food thing, which is a little bit ironic being as the topic of this live today is about feeding picky kids, like typically picky kids who don't eat. So I don't know what's going on with them today, but I am like snacked the F out. So I am hiding up here and talking to you about feeding picky children, which is something that I've actually been going through quite a bit while we've been in quarantine. For my family, we've been quarantining since March 16th, and we have been upstate in a little bit north of Albany, staying at a friend's house for over 4 weeks now. And in that time, we've run the gamut of how the kids are eating. Either we've kind of, my friend and I, who were just leaning on each other as parents, basically, are either, some days we just let the kids graze all day. We'll just lay out a whole bunch of snacks and be like, freaking have at it. I am so done with fighting with you on meals. And that is something that you can do. I'm going to give you three kind of like solid ideas when it comes to how to feed picky eaters, kids who are like just not, kids who are not accepting anything that you're giving. And when we don't have these backup options, like it's harder to do takeout or delivery or anything. You can't just run to the grocery store the way that we may have been able to before. We're more limited to what's actually in our homes, and it can be frustrating to feed kids who are being super stubborn at that time while you're stuck in quarantine. So the three things I'm going to talk to you about today, and I will be including in the comments of this live feed a download that I use called 14 Super Simple Dinner Ideas. It's also in the Facebook group Meal Planning Junkies, which is connected to Percolate Kitchen. I have it you can access it on my website if you can't find it in the comments, or if you want to look for it later. But I'm going to stick the download link for it in the comments. And what this download is, it's free. It's just like a little one-sheeter thing that you can print off and you can hang up in your kitchen, stick it in your fridge. Like I used to, for a while, I had it hung on the inside of a cupboard door, like one of my pantry doors. And it's literally just ideas for dinner. It's not recipes. It's not even saying, you know, have beef today. It's a breakdown of recipe ideas of things that you can kind of pull from what you already have, which is great for quarantine cooking and pantry cooking, and just kind of gives you inspiration for dinner. So I'll mention that later on in the broadcast, and I'll stick the download link for it in the comments. Like I said, it's called 14 Super Simple Dinner Ideas, and it's almost all very kid-friendly too. So if you're having a hard time coming up with dinner ideas that are working for the kids and you don't want to have to sort through Pinterest recipes or cookbooks or anything like this, this download is really helpful for that. So the first thing that I like to do when I haven't just like given up and made them eat snacks all day, or let them eat snacks, I should say. One of the first things that I do when I keep butting up against my kids in terms of what they want to eat for dinner or what they want to eat is a DIY dinner bar idea. I also have a blog post about this on Percolate that goes a little bit deeper into the concept of a DIY dinner bar, but it's basically where you just like, I guess it kind of goes along with the idea that I said at the beginning, where some days I just like give the kids a bunch of snacks and I'm like, freaking have at it. A dinner bar sort of goes along the same route, where you can lay out a bunch of toppings almost for a main meal, and the kids can feed themselves essentially, or prepare their meal mostly themselves. Think like a taco bar with taco toppings. A pasta bar is really popular. I'll lay out like some Alfredo sauce, some spaghetti sauce, different types of pasta, different types of toppings, things that they can add into their pasta, and then they can mix it all together. Another good one for kids is even a soup bar. If you have some sort of like a vegetable soup base, they can choose what kind of vegetables, shredded chicken, no chicken, etc., that can go in there. You can heat it up and they're done. So giving kids that kind of autonomy to create their own meals goes a long way when you're trying to get them to actually just eat the freaking food that you have. And plus, that's another really easy way to use up what you already have in your kitchen, in your pantry, in your fridge, when we're all stuck inside and it's not as easy to go grocery shopping. So you can lay out what is already there, let the kids put their meals together, and that can help solve a lot of problems that way. Another thing that I like to do is, that I recommend really, is looking up a woman called Ellen Sattler. I'm going to also put her information in the comments. I think her official title is a food therapist, but she teaches this way of dealing with kids who are eating in a way that I think is so smart. It's called the division of responsibility. And it means, it goes along with this dinner bar where you as the parent, you decide what's for dinner. The child decides what they eat from that dinner, and they decide how much, and that's where it ends. That's it. So you lay out the dinner, make sure that part of what's in that meal or that breakfast or that lunch or whatever, make sure that something in that meal that you've prepared is something that you know for certain that they're going to eat. Say you've got a kid who loves, just pulling this out of nowhere, chicken salad, and that you may have made lasagna for dinner, but there's also a bowl of chicken salad on the table, so that you're creating this family atmosphere where everyone is eating together at the same time. This is what we do as a family. We sit down together and we eat together, and you may have only chicken salad tonight, but we're eating as a family, and the kids are watching the parents eating the lasagna and the salad and then maybe the side and the chicken salad and everything that's made. But it reinforces that idea to kids that the food that's on the table is what we're eating. You have the autonomy as a person, as a child, to choose how much you're eating and what, but this is how we do it as a family. So she goes a lot more deeply into the whole concept of the division of responsibility, she calls it, in her website. And her name is spelled Ellen, Ellyn, and it's either Sattler or Satter. I always mix it up, but I will stick the comment or the link for her in the comments when I'm done with this video. But her concepts on how to eat as a family have really helped me form the way that myself and my kids eat. In quarantine, we're a little bit more like, we'll just figure it out as we go. But during more normal times, when we're actually having our routine of sitting down together as a family, at least most nights that we can, or just myself and the kids if my husband is working, it helps with the whole rhythm of that meal, so it doesn't wind up being a total shit show, which I have had many's a time, and I'm sure that you have had as well, where kids are demanding you to make something else, and they want you to be a short order cook, and you're getting frustrated, and you've spent all this time making a meal, and nobody's actually eating it. Check out what Ellen Sattler has to say about getting kids in that rhythm of a family meal. It helps a lot. Or you could just use the 14 Super Simple Dinner Ideas download that, again, I'll be throwing into the comments of just all of my favorite dinner ideas. And you can, again, I like to print it out and stick it up somewhere in my kitchen, so you can just like at a glance be like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Another thing the final thing that I'm going to talk about today, in terms of how I like to get picky kids to actually sit down and eat their freaking food, is I'll make a short list in my Evernote. And now, if you have been following me for a while, you might have seen my download. It's like a short free tutorial called the 5-Minute Meal Plan. And in the 5-Minute Meal Plan, I walk you how to set up your Evernote cloud sharing note app to be like a recipe binder for yourself that you can keep with you wherever you are. You can add it onto your tablet or your laptop or your phone. And instead of having a binder full of magazine clippings and like some Pinterest things over here and a couple blog post recipes that you like over here and your grandma's recipe cards, this Evernote, this method that I use for making a 5-minute meal plan every week, I teach it in the 5-Minute Meal Plan. That's another link that I'll throw up in the comments. But if you follow me and you have a 5-minute meal plan set up in your Evernote, you can do this also. I have what I call the kids short list in my Evernote, and I keep probably 7 or 8 meals that I know my kids will always eat. And when I'm meal planning, if we've been struggling a lot with meals a lot lately, if I've been just noticing that my kids are more stubborn than normal, which, sometimes they're easier, sometimes they're not, I will let, especially my daughter who's 6 and has very much a mind of her own. I will let her go through this short list in the Evernote. I'll read the things aloud, and she can pick a couple of the meals that we're going to have that week. That greatly increases my chances of having her actually eat something, because I can be like, no, do you remember, this is something that you chose? And you can get them excited when you're making it. Tonight we're having the thing that you had. So just, you know, the common thread of everything that I've talked about in this broadcast so far is the best way that I have found to get somewhat stubborn or picky kids to actually eat their meals, and eat what you've actually spent some time making and eat the food that we're all having as a family, is to give kids that sense of autonomy. Because when children feel a lack of control, that's a lot of times when we wind up having the butting heads, whatever age that they're in. But if you can give them a sense that they are actually contributing to their meal, that they're taking part in everything, that they are have some autonomy, that they have that ability to make a decision for themselves when it comes to food, whether it's what everybody's eating or not, you have a much better chance of those kids actually eating the food that is in front of them, and not having to find yourself doing the whole shorter cook thing, because that is just, you know, quarantine has brought in a whole spate of different types of problems and issues and concerns and things that I really hadn't come into before. And it's not that you can really put your finger specifically on why what we're going through right now is so difficult, but I have found that dealing with food and family and everything in a crisis, and a prolonged crisis, when we're weeks and weeks into this, and we've probably got a ways to go, it changes your mindset on everything. When we're in that routine of the kids going to school and we're going to work and we're coming home together and we're having that time as a family, it's a lot easier, I think, to get into a rhythm. And for some reason, during quarantine, it has been harder to find that rhythm. I don't know why. You would think it would be easier, but I think it has a lot to do with just the fact that we're all managing different types of crisis and emotions and feelings, and our kids are feeding off that as well. And when we can at least give them a little bit of a sense of control over what is happening at the dinner table, I'm willing to bet that you're going to have a lot more success in getting them to actually eat the things that are in front of them, which is also a common problem. It's by far and wide the most common problem that I run into with other parents, especially when it comes to picky kids, is I don't have any time to cook. This is what people say to me more often. I don't have any time to cook, and I don't know what to cook. And also, I'm sick of getting my kids food that they're just not going to eat at the end of the day, and I have to make them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever. Running through these three options that I've just talked about, the DIY dinner bar, using the division of responsibility, and also finding ways for them to choose what's being made that week so that they all have that sense of autonomy, I'm willing to bet that that's going to help a lot. We're all going through a really hard, shitty time, and I think trying to find those spots of, I guess, control is going to help everyone kind of get out in the end. So I am going to stick all the links of the things that I talked about in the comments. If you have any questions or issues that you're having with your kids and dinner time and all of that I haven't covered, throw them in the comments, send me a DM, whatever. And I'm not going anywhere, so I would love to hear from you. And hope you guys are hanging in there, and good luck with dinner time. Thanks for stopping by.